At Foxfield Preserve at the Wilderness Center, conservation is our guiding philosophy. We are a cemetery, but a major part of what we do is restoration and stewardship of this land. We want to share our practices of this stewardship so that you can have confidence that, with your help, we are making a difference. There are 2 habitats within the 40 acres that Foxfield spans: tallgrass prairie and young successional forest managing towards a beech sugar maple ecosystem. It is important for us to recognize these ecosystems' individuality so that we can cater to their specific needs in order to thrive. We do this in many ways, but they can be divided into a few topics. Hastening succession uses processes to speed up the natural maturing of environments in order to ensure their survival and their contribution to the area. Unfortunately, this means that it takes hundreds of years for the forest to reach maturity and become a fully functioning ecosystem.
Again, what we can do to speed that up is put in additional trees, so tree plantings. We can manage for our invasive species. We can manage the forest in a way that allows it to speed up that process a little bit. It's not going to take 10 or 20 years. It might not take 200 years, but somewhere in between would be the goal for us.
One of the main issues we focus on for the survival of young plants is the control of invasive species. The early detection of invasive plant populations is vital in restoring and maintaining both woodland and prairie habitats.
Typically that involves going around and either cutting or pulling invasive species out. Occasionally we will use some small amount of herbicide that is very targeted to that individual plant, so as not to introduce it to the broader environment.
Prairies used to be managed by grazing wildlife and by controlled burns performed by the indigenous people who lived here, but with their absence came the overrunning of prairies. Now, the Wilderness Center strategically burns parts of Foxfield's prairies every few years so that the native flora may start fresh. It takes shockingly little time for the new green growth to occur. This is the prairie just 4 weeks after a burn. An important part of restoring this land to its full potential is the increase in biodiversity. With the maturity of an ecosystem comes an environment that can support the lives of many native plants and animals. And while the introduction of these species can happen naturally under the right conditions, at Foxfield we nurture those processes to help them along.
At this stage, we are kind of in between. We're still at an early successional stage, I would say here, with most of the trees being around probably 20 or 30 years old. Some of them may be a little bit younger, some of them may be a little bit older, but there's a nice mix here, which is good. That's what we want. We don't want everything to be uniform age, uniform size. It adds to the diversity of the site, which is really nice.
Foxfield Preserve is a cemetery, and the process of performing burials is inherently disruptive to the earth.
When we go and we do, a burial, the gravesite that might be excavated, we are trying to bring that back to nature as quickly as possible. So putting things like mulch over top of it to suppress other weeds. We can even do things like net plantings or seed scattering. And then we'll have to also consider what happens to that site for invasive species control as well.
Land stewards may plant appropriate flora in the area, and so may families. When families at Foxfield choose a living memorial in the form of a tree, shrub, grasses, or wildflowers, they are directly contributing to the restoration of their loved one's resting place. It is only because of our Foxfield families that we are able to restore and conserve this land, and we hope this video has given you some more insight to exactly how we do it. If you want more information about Foxfield Preserve or have any questions, you can visit our website or call or email us, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you for supporting a legacy of conservation.